Good morning, Lynsey. How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm very well, Peter. Excited to be chatting with you.
Oh, brilliant. Good stuff. Good stuff. So tell me, Lynsey, tell me a little bit about yourself and your business, please.
So my name's Lynsey Bennett. I am the co-founder of Lusso, which is a luxury tanning brand. Product developed here in Northern Ireland, and my background is in skincare and tanning. My sisters and I have salons here in Belfast and Hollywood, Secret Day Spa on the Belmont Road, and Sistine Beauty down in Hollywood. So over our 20 years in the beauty industry, there really is nothing that we don't know about skincare and tanning.
That's brilliant. And when you were growing up, is that the line of work that you saw yourself going into? Is it always something that you've wanted to do?
Nope, absolutely not. In fact, before I opened the Secret Day Spa, which was 13 years ago, I worked in sales. I worked for big PLC companies, and this was never on my radar. And then, as happens quite often in life, I had a very challenging year in work, and I reevaluated what I was doing and what I wanted out of life. I was very happily married at the time. I had no children, but I was really dreading getting into work every morning. And I thought, I can't go on like this. My home life, it was actually impacting all my home life. And I thought, let's throw caution to the wind, let's do something completely different. So I went to beauty school at night, and I studied beauty, and I also studied business. And I was able to take a lot of the skills that I had learned within my time in a sales role. Customer service was at the forefront of that, building relationships. I was able to take that knowledge and put them into a new business. And we opened in 2019 when it was the height of the recession. And people were like, are you crazy? You're leaving a job where you have your own company car, you have your pension, you have a really healthy salary, and you're opening a business that you've no experience in, that you've never opened a business before, and we're in the height of the recession. And it was the best thing that I ever did. Was it difficult? Yes, but it's a different kind of pressure you have when you have your own business and you have your goals, and we've never looked back.
Fantastic. Well, what a journey. What a journey. And Lynsey, who would be your ideal customer?
So my ideal customer, certainly in Lusso and actually in our salons as well, would be that 25 plus career girl, mummy as well, real independent, go-getter. And our slogan is free your inner glow, and that's what we're all about. That's our ethos. I really want women to feel comfortable in their own skin, and if we can do a little bit to help that, then that's my job done. I am such a firm believer in having a network of really strong women around me, and I believe so much in giving back. I mean, the beauty industry, it's a multi-billion-pound industry, yet we don't get the recognition that we certainly deserve. Over my years in the business, the people that I have met along the way, who are now the main breadwinners in their family, their husbands are actually doing daycare and they've opened up their own business, and yet we are never ever recognized for that. And I do think that there is absolutely a gap in the market for regulating beauty within Northern Ireland as well. And also really supporting each other and recognizing what we have done and where we're going. So it's something that's definitely on my radar that I want to do in 2023.
Fantastic. And of all, we've seen obviously some huge challenges over the last few years. And of all the actions you've taken because of the pandemic, are there any that will remain as part of your business ongoing?
Well, in 2020, when we went into lockdown, we were just about to launch into Boots Ireland, and we had done a massive order for them to make sure we accommodated Boots, and then we were left with all these products, and we were like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? But actually, it was the best thing that could have happened, because not only were we as a company in lockdown, but also our suppliers were. in lockdown as well. So we maybe wouldn't have got that had that been the case. And it really taught us that you've got to think forward. You've got to plan for absolutely every possibility. None of us planned for a global pandemic, don't get me wrong, but it made me really look at the business and make sure that I have at least a 6-month plan in place. Should that 6-month plan need to be tweaked, then so be it, but you've always got to have a plan B. And that was one of the things that I really focused on, and it stood me in really good stead. And it's something that we're building on now. So coming out of a global pandemic was just as difficult as going into a global pandemic, because the people that we are supplying, they're still trying to find their own way in their own business as well. It was one of the major challenges for all of my businesses, was having your workforce coming back, and they had been off for practically 2 years. So it was a real challenge for them and us to find that middle ground and make sure that we were coming back to a new world, really. And we were navigating our way through this new world and making sure that we had the right life balance for our employees. I think actually that's one of the best things to come out of it. It has been absolutely challenging as an employer, but I do feel we'll see the benefit of that over the next few years, and employers will have had to make changes. And I do think in the long run that is definitely something that is going to be beneficial to the employers as well as the workforce.
And what would you say has been your biggest learning since you've been a business owner?
My biggest learning curve has been that, it was certainly in Lusso, has been that it's really easy to get your product on the shelves. I'm a really good salesperson and I have no problem getting it on the shelves, but you've got to get it off the shelves. You've got to have everything in place, and not in marketing, you can't just have an influencer campaign, you can't just have an email campaign, you can't just have an outdoor campaign, you can't just have one isolated way to market. You've got to have all your different eggs in a lot of different baskets. And it has been, I have found that has got to be planned. So you've got to plan years ahead. If you're going in to see a major retailer, you've got to have at least a year plan how you're going to support that major retailer, how you're going to drive customers to their websites, to their stores. And that has been a real learning curve for me.
And if I say the word success, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Jo Malone. I love everything that Jo Malone did. I read her autobiography many years ago. I actually got to meet her in Space NK in Belfast, and she was such an inspiration. So Jo Malone came from a very, very humble background, and she is dyslexic, and one of my girls is still dyslexic as well. So I know the challenges that are faced. And she just inspired me so much. And I love that she built her brand to a certain level and she sold it. And I love that she has now brought out another brand under a different name. I just find her whole story so inspiring. And I also find that when Jo Malone's speaking to you, she'll tell you the ups and downs, and you'll never get an up unless you have a down.
Brilliant. No, really good example. And what's the biggest challenge that you currently face in your business, Lynsey?
The biggest challenge at the minute is recruiting the right people and recruiting really good people. There is a real, market. I think across all recruitment that's a real challenge for us. And again, what happens then when you are faced with a challenge, that you reflect and you think, well, what can I do to attract these people? So we've certainly made a lot of changes within our structure, within Lusso, a real growth plan. We want people to come to Lusso and we want them to grow. And we do the same thing in the salons. Actually, we bring people to work for us and we train them up, and we are always telling them, we want you to go on and do better and to do better and to do better. So we make sure that we have a structure in order for them to do that.
Really good, really good. And what inspires you the most today? What gives you the most inspiration other than Joe Malone?
I love the challenge of business. I really do love getting up and creating. One of my biggest challenges is, and something that I am always having to work on, is I don't like nitty gritty. I like putting plans in place, but I don't like having to go back and tick boxes. But I love seeing my ideas come to fruition. I also think that you, as a business owner, I don't wake up every day thinking, wow, great, can't wait to get to work, because there's a lot of challenges within work. Any entrepreneur will tell you that cash flow is always a major issue. And there's sometimes, when I'm going to sleep and I'm thinking, okay, where am I going to get the money to pay for this, to pay for that? But I do believe in really working on yourself. I'm a firm believer in being an early riser. I like to get up way before the kids are up. I go out for a walk. I listen to motivational podcasts. And I try to start my day on a really positive note. And that helps me, should anything happen in the day that I am thrown a curveball, that I feel that I have set myself up to be able to overcome those challenges.
Brilliant. Any particular podcast
I've gone back to Tony Robbins at the minute. So I loved Tony Robbins, and during lockdown I did a lot of his online, and then he said a couple of really sexist comments and I went off him. But I've forgiven him. So I'm back onto him at the minute, and I'm actually working through one of his challenges, which is called Breakthrough. Really, really good, really getting into your mind, your psyche. And a lot of what he really preaches is, we don't do things because it causes fear, or we do things because it causes pleasure, and interrupting that thought pattern, because most things that you do are going to cause you a little bit of fear, but once you break through that, then that's when you get so much more pleasure.
Brilliant. And if it were possible, Lynsey, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Oh, wow. Thinking back to my 18-year-old self, I would say, don't be so hard on yourself. Every day is a learning day, and just to have more confidence in yourself. When I think back to when we were 18, it's such a different world from it is now. And actually, I'm glad that I took the path that I did, because I don't feel that I would have been the business person I am today unless I had come into it later in life. So I would just tell my 18-year-old self, everything will work out for the best in the long run.
Brilliant, brilliant. And if people wanted to get in touch with you or try some of your products or Lusso, what's the best way to go about it?
Well, our website, www.lussotan.com. We are very much a local Northern Ireland brand, so you will see us in salons and spas throughout Northern Ireland. You'll also see us in pharmacies as well. But yeah, it's the support that we get from Northern Ireland is totally incredible. Even if people aren't buying from us, they're recommending it to other people. They're coming in to our spas and salons. So yeah, I'm so proud to be a local Northern Irish brand.
Brilliant. Okay, well, Lynsey Bennett from Lusso, listen, thank you very much for telling your story and your journey. It's been absolutely fantastic. A terrific start to the week. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me, Peter.